Alhamdulillah wahda wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da amma ba'd. So last week we discussed the ayatul riba. Ayatul riba being interest, usury. So we said that we'll just go through some of the basic ruling related to that, not in detail. Obviously, there's quite complex issues, especially in the modern time when there's so much going on in the financial world. So one needs to go through a proper whole day session of good 6, 7 hours worth of discussion around it. So what is riba? Every loan that draws a profit is riba and haram. Every loan that you give someone loan and get any benefit out of it, that is riba. That's a way of looking at that. There are other ways. So just go through one or two hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in Sharia, it refers to the conditional access in exchange for deferred payment. So you give me something and I will give it back to you, but I would give you some extra on top of that. So a loan, when you return in excess. Or any excess in wealth or benefit which is conditioned in the business transaction and is not in lieu of anything. So you say there is some extra cost to this commodity without specifying what it is against. In a barter system, for example, I say, okay, I have got this 20 or 50 apple trees. I would give all the fruits to you, and you would give me 50, whatever, something against it. But that is against the fruits only. But now I say, well, what about the juice in it? That's extra. So I want to charge you 5 extra because they're very ripe, new, fresh, very good ones. Grapes likewise. So for the juice, this extra. If it becomes dry, so there has to be a commodity against a commodity. You can't just be charging something without having a specification about that. So if something against something, then nothing. For example, I say, I have got 24 karat gold. So a gram, I would give it to you. You give me 2 grams or 1.5 gram of 20 karat or 16 karat. That's not right. You can't do that. We come to that. So there has to be intrinsic value, which is that you have got something against it. You can't have something extra and just add a value to it. The attribute does not get counted at all. It's the essence which is counted. And likewise, the condition, you haven't put any condition. For example, the condition could be, I am selling my car, you buy it with the condition that if you ever need to buy it, you will give it back to me. You can't sell it to anyone else. That's not valid. That's not right. You can't do that. You can't have a condition which is hidden condition, or whatever, whenever you do something or sell something, I would have extra discount there. I put that as a condition. I can't put that a condition. Any condition put in such a way is not permissible. Just finish it off and then have the question afterward. Otherwise, we'll just go on tangent. In Sharia, the fuqaha regard the profit acquired through un-Islamic means in the law of riba. For example, the profit acquired through an invalid business transaction, a bay which is fasid, considered to be not okay. So you can't do that. Anything that you've earned through that, which was not valid contract, that would be counted. Any benefit you derive, that is riba. That is, you've got it for no reason. You just put it without any condition. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has forbade, obviously the messenger Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he cursed the one who accepts and the one who pays it. In another narration, the one who writes, the one who records it, the one who guides towards riba. Oh, I'm not dealing with what he's doing. Go. He would give it to you. He gives loan and then you would have to pay a little interest, but you can get free loan from the. Why you're not taking that? The person who did it, he's the one doing it, but you are the one guiding him. All of them would be counted as committing this sin. So asking your children, have some loan and get that. I would support you. I'll give you a recommendation. All haram. So you're part of that. Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave a very clear example. If you just read on riba, there's so many ahadith about it. This makes it so clear. The selling of wheat for wheat is riba, except if it is handed from hand to hand in equal amount. Ha-aha, ha-uha, like this. So I have got a kilogram of date and you've got a kilogram of date. They're different quality, but we want to exchange, fine. Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he had some dates which was very good quality. He said, oh, where did you get from? Where did you get this special, very nice dates from? He said, oh, we went to this particular part on this some expedition, Yemen or Syria, somewhere, I couldn't remember exactly, one of the places. And on that, we gave our 2 kilograms for their 1 kilogram of good dates. Riba. 2 kilograms versus 1 riba. Has to be 1 to 1. So, Ya Rasulullah, so how do we deal with that? Because our dates is not as good as his is. We want to get that special one. He said the easy way, the way around it is you sell these 2 kilograms against something else. Cash, silver, gold, or wheat, or something else. And then when you have got that, so I've sold my 2 kilograms of raddi khajur, that are halki khatiya, low level khajur, the dates, for 10 pounds. And then I've got 10 pounds in my hand. I go and ask you, can I have, you can have 1 kilogram, that's fine. In a way, you have done the same thing, but that is permissible way. You have to do it like this. You cannot exchange the same thing, same commodity, by increasing the value based on the intrinsic, some additional attributes of it. That would be riba. So be very careful on that. So, and he went on to say, barley with barley, likewise dates for dates, and likewise in another narration, gold and silver and milh, sha'ir, tamar, sold. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave one example from each of those different commodities. The salt and pepper stuff, wheat from the grains, gold and silver from the monetary, financial things, the currency, and dates from fruits. So he's taken all those commodities, one example from each. You can't sell them except it must be done exactly the same amount. Number 2, it must be hand to hand. You can't defer it. I give you now, you give me a kilogram later on. Not permissible. So it has to be, let's just clarify that. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Quran a type of riba, which we discuss in this ayat. Riba al-Quran, you can call it as well. Riba al-Quran. And there is a riba al-Fadl and riba al-Nasiyah. These are the 2 types generally. So let's have a look at that. Riba al-Fadl is to take more in exchange of one commodity in the event of barter of 2 similar commodities. Make sure about the pen. Yeah. Right? Be careful. Yes. The commodities. So as we just heard in hadith, a commodity which is sold against same commodity, and if you change the value, the quantity, that is riba. Whereas, so that is the riba al-Fadl, means excess, selling something in excess. It has to be hand to hand, like, naqd there and then, not deferred payment, and same amount. This is called riba al-Fadl. Fadl means excess. And it is riba al-Hadith as well. But there's riba al-Quran, which is what we heard last week. Yes? Riba al-Nasi'ah. A time-delayed loan where the borrower pays extra in leave of time granted. So I would just pay in a month's time. For each time you extend the time, you increase the value. You understand that? So every time you return my loan in a month's time, 2 months, 3, every year, I add extra bit to it, extra value to it. That is called riban nasi'ah, riban. So this is to take a larger return of one thing while 2 identical things are bartered. But in this case, the larger return is affected after a fixed time period, obviously. So you would give after that much time, after that time, a month, 6 months, a year. So that's all haram. So in Islamic jurisprudence, we have got two ways. There is a mabi', which is the commodity which is sold, and other thing is thaman, the value, the price of that. So mabi' is the thing which you're doing bay' on. Bay' means to sell. Bay', you know bay'. Bay' shira, you heard the word. Shira is to buy and bay' is to sell. So bay' shira. So mabi' is the commodity that you sell. It's like grains, rice, wheat. And thaman is the price, which is normally is the gold, silver currency in the current time especially. And then if you divide them into how they could be used, there are 4 categories of varieties. So certain varieties, certain thing that you use as a mabi, that could be mawzuni. You could sell it by weighing it. Mawzun, during the wazn of that. You put that in a scale, 1 kilo, 5 kilo, 20, whatever. There's certain called makili. They're done kail. Kail, not used as much now, but kail was, you've got a certain container, say 5-liter milk or 1 liter. We used to get milk back home. Perhaps it's still nowadays, if you go to the traditional shop with a big container where they have all the cow milk or the buffalo's milk. So you go there and ask for 1 to 5 liters. So you have your bag or whatever, a small jug. So they would take from their measurement, that measured tool, they would just use the mug or whatever pitcher they have. They use it and put it in your container. That's measured against that kail. Kail is the measure. It's called makili. Certain things are sold with kail. Likewise, rice. They used to just take it like this and fill a measure and say, this is whatever it is. Now, obviously, you can weigh it as well. Makili, mawzuni, and there are other things that could be stored as well. There's certain things which is perishable, like certain fruits that would just get rotten. You dry it and it would stay longer. So kishmish, for example, the raisins, dates, when you dry it can stay quite long. Banana, these things, how long would they last? 2, 3, 4 days maximum. Mango, very quickly. So there's certain fruits, they cannot be kept for that long. And then saman is the thing which is used as a commodity as a price for the commodity. Gold, silver, stuff like that. So what are the ruling? When commodities to be exchanged are the same type and variety. Same type, same variety. Are the makili and makili, mawzuni and mawzuni. And they're the same measure. So any increase and decrease would be unlawful. You can't do that at all. There has to be same level. If they're same, you can't do that. For example, exchange of wheat with wheat, rice with rice, you cannot have any increment or decrease there. It has to be same, exact same value. This is why you cannot do things with faras, andaze se. I've given this much rice. Oh, I give, how much do you know you have? Because you may have a smaller hand and I may have a bigger hand. So when we, this much. It doesn't work like that. Rough estimate. It looks like this. You can't do that. You can't just say, how many, I don't know, but you've got like a lot of trees and they all look like full of fruits. I buy them against this much. And so yeah, you've got this big and I've got another, you have got your own, another, what you call the farm of date palm. Yeah, yes, exactly. So you say, against this, you haven't measured, you don't know. The value would be more or less. So you have to measure it. You must know exactly. Obviously, custom does have some sense there, but generally, because these people are very clever, they know how many trees are there. If they are aware of that, that's a different matter. But generally, you can't do with your guesswork. It has to be clearly measured. Look, any increase and decrease would be considered riba, either way. It is essential that these things are equal in measure and or weight and are in one's actual possession. That's another condition for it to be valid. You can't say something which is not yet in your possession to sell. So when you read chapters on hadith, keep going through so many different conditions. One is like this. So people used to sell. I am selling the next, harvest, the crop coming in December. So, okay, who's going to deal with me? I have got, look at my, plantation. What you call it? Look at my, क्या कहते हैं? Farm कहते हैं? नहीं, जिसमें plant, जिसमें दरख्त लगे होते हैं. Big orchard है मेरे पास. I've got a big garden of fruits. Say again? बड़ी सी जमीन है. I've got like 500 trees, date palm trees. You've seen that. So, and you've seen my previous harvest. So it's going to be like that, or even better, because I'm putting back the extra, urea or different medicine or whatnot. So yeah, fertilizers. So are you interested in that? So last year we had 500 kilograms of dates, but this I'm expecting 700. Who is willing to have? Trees are there, no fruits yet, nothing happened. You can't sell it. People used to sell even the baby in this camel's womb in future. The one in womb, that's not permissible because you don't know whether it's going to come out or not. You can't sell that. They would sell that baby's baby because someone has already bought this one, a very high pedigree one, their baby. Impermissible. So it must be in your actual possession, not hoped or anticipated. If two things to be exchanged are of the same type but a different variety, an increase and decrease is permissible. Same type and variety. Variety means grain versus rice. The same variety, they're both mawzuni or makili, but grain versus rice, or dates versus something else. If you change the commodity with their variety, then that's fine. Although they're both measured in the same way, but their variety is different, then that is fine. So as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked them to sell these rough dates against something else and then buy that against that. So that is okay. Likewise, their sale on credit is unlawful. For instance, the exchange of 1 kilogram of silver with 2 grams of gold, or barter of 1 kilo of barley with half a kilo of wheat, or exchange, they're fine. This is okay. If such a bargain is done on cash basis, it will be fair. But you can't do that for credit. So even here, this credit cannot be allowed. It must be done there and then. Then it's fine. If you say, oh no, I would do that. So your 1 kilogram of dates, I would give you, I want to buy it against my half kilogram of wheat. I would give you that wheat next month. Has to be there and then. There has to be the conditions there. When two things to be exchanged are not the same type and are also different in variety, if they're both different, variety is different and type is different. They're both not measured and they're both not same type. Then you're allowed to do whatever. So increase and decrease is permissible, and you can sell on credit as well. If they're both not measured, one is measured, one is weight, then it's fine. Then you can 1 kilogram of something. So milk, for example, I've got honey. Honey is say I don't know how it's sold, but it's sold in the measure. A container, you fill that container. That 5 kilogram container of honey versus what you weighed, mangoes with weight. So I said less mango for more honey, or vice versa. And I would do tomorrow, a week later. That's both fine, because they're both different types and they're both, variety is different as well. Okay, so this is why it's quite important to know. Exchange of 1 kilogram of wheat with a gram of gold, bargain of 1 kilogram of date with 10 tola of silver, fine. The completely different commodity, measured differently. Variety is different, type is different. You can do now, you can do it with later. You can pay it later on. Increase and decrease is permissible, and also you can sell it on the credit. Like, I would do the deferred payment. Now, there was this concern which is raised in the recent time, about 100 years or so ago. They said Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made certain interest-based transaction haram for the fact that it was exploitation of poor people. So someone would give you a loan and they would need it for the food, for the medicine, and you are exploiting. So Sharia did not want that. There's truth in it, but that's one of the wisdom behind it, but that's not the only thing. So they said, based on this, commercial loan should be fine. The commercial loan, because it is not taken by poor people, it is for rich people, like, well-to-do people, those who can afford that much. Because the bank is not going to give that loan to a poor person who cannot even afford to, or haven't got any means to return it back. It's not for everyone. You have to have a credit history, so to say. So it's not there's no exploitation. You have given your money to them. They are doing some business, or they're giving some extra whatever, not on business, but as a loan-based additional interest on that. So what? You're helping them and they're helping you. No exploitation happening. So for one, it's wrong. For the fact that it doesn't fit the criteria, that based on hadith, this is haram. Second is, this is a completely wrong notion that there was no commercial riba in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was. For example, two examples you normally find. Sayyidina Zubair radiallahu anhu, Zubair bin Awwam, the companion, he had a, he was quite trustworthy. Those people would come and speak to him and they say, you know what, we want you to look after our wealth. They would come and give Zubair bin Awwam one of the Ashra Mubashara radiallahu anhu. He is the son of Safiya radiallahu anha. He's the one who married Asma bint Abi Bakr radiallahu anha. And they had this son, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, who was the first born, by the way, in Medina. First Muslim born in Medina, on the second year or something. And people used to mock. See, you've migrated from Makkah, now you're paying the price. No one is getting any baby because the weather, the climate is not good. That's why they call it Yathrib. But anyway, Abdullah bin Zubayr, when he was born, they were all very happy. Say that Aisha radiallahu anha said, I haven't got any kunya, agnomen, because she didn't have any children. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you can have Abdullah as your son, because Khala is like mother. So that is why she is called Abdullah. And Aisha's kunya is Abdullah, mother of Abdullah, as a Khala of Abdullah. Anyway, so this Zubair bin Awwam, the greatest of the Sahaba, Ashra Mubashara, obviously the greatest. So people would come to him and say, you know what, we want you to look after our wealth. So there's a rule in Sharia. If someone comes to you and say, you look after my commodity, my asset, my something. So I give you my, car to look after, watch or something, which is expensive, whatever stuff. So I want you to keep my money and keep it safe and return it back whenever. So this is called amana. So you put, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was trustworthy, the people would have him look after others' amana. So this Abdullah bin Zubair bin Awwam, who was so trustworthy, the people would normally get him to look after the wealth. He would say, no, don't give me as a amana. Don't give me as a trust. Give me as a loan. Give me as a loan. So that it would be beneficial for both. Because the ruling in Sharia is, if you ask me to look after your commodity, your wealth, and I tried my best and kept it, and then it got lost, burnt, collapsed, stolen, but I tried my best to keep it, but I didn't know. I was sleeping, obviously it had just someone broken. Then I do not have to return it back to you. I'm not responsible for that. In Sharia, the amana, the individual, as long as he's looked after it properly, the way he would do his own stuff, and he got lost. Like, his car got lost, your car could be stolen as well. So then he is not responsible for that. So for amana, you are not responsible. You are only responsible if you did not look after it. You put it, you didn't lock the car and it got stolen, then you're responsible. So he said, it would ensure that your money is safe. I don't want you to not have your money saved. This is his concern for them, ad-dinun nasiha. But also it would benefit me as well, because if it is amana, a trust, I cannot use it. So while you're just leaving me with your money, I may as well use it for tijara, for business. and I will give you profit on that. Well, whatever. So, no, sorry, not profit. I would just give your loan back to you. So let me be free with that. You want to keep it as trust? It will be trust, but it will be much more secure. So people said, they have no problem. Means we have our money secured now because it's a loan. So he did that. And over time, he has accumulated how much? It was a bank, like a bank he was. He was a bank. He mentioned that he was the modern day bank. People just gave him his money as a loan. Obviously, you can't increase it. They would just give exactly the same. But you know what? After he passed away, I don't remember exactly how much was that. Maybe if I could find that in the book, we used to memorize that. It's about that value. When he passed away, his son Abdullah bin Zubair, he was concerned that my father had a lot of loan that I need to pay. So he started working it out, asking people on Hajj here and there. Oh, people, come back. Let me know who lent how much money, because I have some record, but I want you to all clarify it so I can pay it back to you. So people came and he started making a record of that and whatever he could do. And he sold all the land. Abdullah bin Zubair bin Awwam would take their money and buy a piece of land here and there. So he said, so when Zubair passed away, his son Abdullah bin Zubair worked out these loans. He said, I calculated his accumulated debt, and it is amounted to 2,200,000 dirham. 2,200,000 dirham, which in current, this is according to Bukhari. And he managed to, so that was the amount of loan he had from people. Imagine how much we're talking about in those days. He said, then I was a little bit concerned, but then what happened? I started selling his properties, one after the other. And people were coming left, right, and center to buy those properties. And they all, everyone, so he sold everything. And every member who was heir of Zubair bin Awwam received some, thousands and thousands of dollars. What was that? Dirham. So they had more savings after paying off all the debt, that much debt. The Hadith calculation done, the Hafiz ibn Hajar and many others have done that. It's amazing amount of money that he had. So people got whatever they have paid in as their debt, which was secured and saved. And the son got, and all the family got inheritance of literally as a millionaire. Everyone became a millionaire with that. Amazing amount. Are you saying that there was no commercial loan? This is commercial loan, isn't it? He didn't buy it. He didn't take that loan for food or for medicine. Hadith in Sahih Bukhari and many other collections. Likewise, Imam Tabari, he mentioned in his Tariq, and he says Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu. So during his time, Hind bin Utbah, the wife of Abu Sufyan radiallahu anhu, she came. I said, I want to take some, from the public treasure, like Baitul Mal, I want to borrow something. Please grant me a loan. I want to do some business with that. So Bilad al-Kalb, she started her business, and this loan was obviously, after some time, she returned it back. So what was that loan? To do the transaction, a business transaction, a business, a trade. Is that personal loan or commercial loan? Commercial loan. So the notion that there was no commercial loan during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is wrong. So Ghamdi Sahab and the likes, they have, and prior to him, he's not the first one. Rashid Rida and Muhammad Abduhu, Fazl Rahman type people. They like, the Sir Sayyid Ahmed Khan type people, they have all mentioned it, and they've all initiated this idea only 100 years or so ago, roughly about that much time, and then maybe 150 years ago, in order to make sure it's all okay. That's why these countries have, Muslim countries even, have banks with loan and whatnot, an interest-based transaction. But that's obviously not permissible. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade it despite that. They were present there. And then you can't say that there's no issues with that. People are this idea that commercial loan does not cause any trouble. Can you say that now? Commercial loan suck people out of their money. It artificially increase the value of things. So when they give you that extra 2, 3, what is the percentage they give normally? APR, like what's the minimum they give these days? It could be anything, is it? 3-4%. So 3-4% from your lend, they'll lend you some money and then whatever. So when you put your money in the bank, they give you that much or whatever. Where did they buy? Where did they compensate for that? By increasing the price of that thing. They just take it from the other end. They give it here and they take it from the other end. This is how they artificially inflate the market value. That is why everything is becoming more expensive. I mean, same house within 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years become £100,000 over its original value. What happened in that time? Why the value is going up? All artificially increased. This capitalist interest-based transaction. So this is biggest violation of people's money and people's right. So don't think that it is benign. It's definitely not. Anyway, so that was the overview of riba. There's a lot of discussion on that, a lot of issues related to that. It is so difficult in the modern time to stay away from that. That is why one should be very careful, because the warning is very clear. Warning is such that one shouldn't be even thinking. One of the hadith that you heard before, maybe elsewhere, the 70 grades with regards to riba, the gravity or the seriousness or the sin attached to it. The lowest is what? Equal to committing incest with your mother. In one narration, 70 times. So you are having a relationship with your sexual intercourse with your mother. With your mother. 70 times. When you deal with transaction. And you think it's light, easy. Oh, so and so online, this one and that one says okay to have at least one house. And you see the lack of barakah in the family. People are leaving faith now. People are, literally on haram income. All the problem they see. Unfortunately, you keep highlighting it and people still can't see that all the problems afterwards. See where you are now. The day you have had your interest-based transaction, loan from the bank, mortgage, and you keep seeing yourself increasing in your apparent income, and barakah is inversely proportionate to that. No barakah. Barakah is, how do you know barakah there? Barakah is when there's no issues with you, your family, your children, your daughters, your son, extended family. People are smooth, relationships are good, everyone is on the journey to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't see any of that. Children are running from home. They can't even see eye to eye to you. They haven't got any interest in deen. Wife is killing husband, metaphorically. Husband is killing wife. Trying to do it chilly, but can't do in the modern world. So where is the barakah in the life? Disease after disease, problem after problem. This, and then we say, oh, why and how? We've been very pious. No, not at all. You've already got a big problem, a wage war against Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you think you'll be in harmony and at peace and comfortable? Carry on, try, and you find out. Yes.
What if the thought is not said, but it's not done?
No, it has to be done physically. It has to be done. Not just said and imagined or in mind done. No. It has to be done like this. It has to be done properly.
Someone buys, for example, Turkish lira, it's on, the lira is down. Just a currency, it's a currency. Then
but it's different currency, so then it's okay. Since the currency is different, that has to be not deferred though. So you remember that we said the variety, if the variety is different, then you can't make it deferred. It has to be there and then. Then it's fine. This is how people do. You just give them pound and you get, real from, if you want Hajj. That's fine. Because the varieties change. Although the same commodity, same type, but the variety is different. But that's okay. As long as yadam bi yadin, as long as there and then, not as a deferred payment. Deferred if you want to do currency with wheat.
But for that type of exchange, so is verbal agreement enough, or do we need to have a written contract of?
Like words are fine as long as you've done it verbally, done it and done it. Actually done it as well, not just said it. Done it, that's fine. Don't have to. Ideally, in all the business transaction or any transaction, Sharia's advice is to have a witness. Always get it written down. In fact, next ayah that we're supposed to do today, we'll do inshallah next week, is about this writing down. In first and then you.
Services, providing services. Where do
Good question. So we have dealt with you and then we have that, but there's some extra cost to the, so charging for that service is fine. Remember that the wording there, if that excess money was not for anything, you cannot account for that. Here you can account for that extra $10 or pound for that service charge. That is it.
It's for varieties.
Yes.
For instance, someone is a software engineer.
And they're using it for the as a service, as long as it is really service provision.
But really is a broad spectrum. Really, like
Exactly. As long as someone is doing it genuinely, and it is due to the services cost, which is actually there, or you're just charging it for the cost, really, not just to circumvent Sharia. It's like, because remember, circumventing Sharia is a big, big sin. People of book have done that. The Ashab Sabt, the sabbatical day, the Sabbath. The people who used to live by the fishermen, how they had the, a trap to get the fish on the day, which is Friday, say, but they wouldn't do that anything on Saturday, because Saturday is the day of rest or ibadah. Or the next day, they would just collect them. So we never did anything on Saturday, did we? So technically, we haven't done anything wrong. Yeah, but you have circumvented Sharia by doing either on Friday or, whichever way. So that's not on.
The question is the context for many cultures, earlier cultures especially, they never recognized services. For instance, medicine.
Exactly.
They thought that this is something you can't ask for money.
Exactly.
Those services. So what does Islam clearly say?
Now it's fine. So there's urf about certain things. Urf is, as you said, customarily, it was not considered. People would train you, people would give you any hunar. Hunar means any skill, they would teach you, they wouldn't ask for money for that. There was no institution to train you for certain skills. You just go and spend time. You can become doctor by just being in the under the supervision of that individual who's a doctor, and you learn to be hakim or tabib or whatever. Likewise, you can just go to ulama and just learn deen, hadith. No one would charge you about this. These things there was no such thing as services. Nowadays, they are considered services, so they're fine. Sharia would have, consideration for that. That's okay. Yeah, you can charge for that. That is, so charging for a service is separate thing. Yeah, the concept is exactly, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And so in Sharia, the services have been charged, though, not necessarily for everything, but for example, and this is the basis of Imam Shafi'i, allowing for people to charge even to teach Quran or to do the treatment. So remember the story of the Sahaba who were on this journey and they needed some help, they needed some food. So they went to the nearby village and they asked for some, give us some food we're hungry as a traveler. And it was known in those days for a traveler to, if they, land on any village or any town, they would just ask those people as a guest, please honor us with the food, or please look after us with food. And they would do. Normally they would do. That was customary. Whether they know you or not doesn't matter. And more so in Islamic teaching, because Sayyidina Umar and they have made it. So there's certain a group of Sahaba, they went and they asked for food, and the villagers, they refused. We don't want to do it. And perhaps, I think they were not Muslims, non-Muslim tribe. So, okay, fine. So they just camped closer to that area, and then they were there. Hungry, obviously, but they fine. They didn't support us. We have whatever we have, little dates or whatever, we just thrive on that. Someone came rushing from that group a bit later, from that tribe, to these people, saying that, oh, one of our, villager or what, the person is being bitten by an insect. And we were just trying to find out, we haven't got anyone to cure it. Have you got any ways of curing it? The Sahabi said, I think it was, if I remember correctly, Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So he said that, yes, we know how to cure it, but we charge you. I will charge you. He charged exactly the same amount of some sheep. He initially asked that you have to give me those 10 sheep or whatever. He said, fine, happy with that. he came and he recited Surah Fatiha and got him cured. And after that, he just got the flock. I think it was 30 sheep or something. I think 30 sheep, I think. Well, just check it, inshallah. But 30 sheep just to cure him. And they were happy. They were not even willing before, but they did. So he just got it. But he came back afterwards to find out from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Says, mashallah, it's fine. That is the basis of Imam al-Shafi'i rahmatullah alayh, allowing even to, he said it's recitation of Quran. Hanafi said it was a recitation of Quran. It was the cure that he charged for, not the recitation of Quran too. Because Hanafis don't allow teaching Quran and getting money as a fee. But now later fatwa is based on Imam Shafi'i's fatwa, because you people have stopped supporting the imams, so that how would imam get their pay? And if they, or the Quran teacher, and if they don't get it, they stop teaching it. No one would become hafiz or alim to teach Quran in the masjid. If you don't pay them, then what would happen? You would lose this service in the masjid, because previously governments would do it. That's why you didn't need to do. Now, if they would just all be working on the field, there'll be no imam to lead prayer, no imam to teach Quran. So then what would happen? How would they feed their family? It's your responsibility, but you never took that responsibility for the last 100 years. Ummah has left it. So then what? So they have to give fatwa based on Imam Shafi'i's view. No, charge. What can we do?
In terms of the products you sell, anything which is in the future, in today's financial world, or financial progress, the whole futures, that whole product is then.
I mean, when you start looking into, so this concept called gharar, uncertainty about things, not permissible. Projected, what you call the profit. So anticipation that it would be this much. Money, the market is suggesting that share would go based on this and that. There's, second, yes. It's a speculative one. Yeah, exactly. You can't have it that. You can't have it that way. So there's a lot of issues in the modern financial world. So, but there are ways to tackle though. The ways to tackle, halal ways to tackle it. That is why there are certain ulama who are so deep and deeply qualified in this matter all by itself. This is the topic that I never liked and I don't know much about. And I'm so not interested in that, because somehow I've got built-in hatred for money. So, this financial world, that's not my piece of cake. But, you have to study all of that. But just as brief as I could be, inshallah ta'ala, I hope whatever I said is okay. But if there was any issues even later on, let me know and we go through that again. But go through the, formal muftis who deal with this transaction. Mufti Taqi Ismail Sahib, this is chapter on trade and commerce explained by Mufti Taqi Ismail Sahib. It is actually a commentary on Jami Tirmidhi, Sunan Tirmidhi. Imam Tirmidhi rahmatullah alayh, his chapter on transaction, bay', is amazing, quite detailed. So Hazrat has done the commentary, obviously, when he was teaching Tirmidhi Sharif. So we have studied that from that book with with other teachers, but through that. But that has become, it is actually something that everyone these days, since he's done it 50, 60 years ago, everyone goes through that. So that book has been just translated recently by Hazrat's one of his student, Maulana Ibn Adam al-Kawthari. He's the UK born in Leicester. So he did his ifta with Mufti Taqi Ismail Sahib in Pakistan. He went there. And now, obviously, he has just translated it. Nice, very nice book, very amazing book. So all of that chapters about the transaction is being done. So it's worth reading. Those who have interest as an interest, not the interest, to read and understand the subject. Taqi Ismail Sahib.
Legitimated some of the banks in Pakistan, like Nizam.
Yes, they have done very thoroughly, and they're okay with that. And obviously Mufti Taqi Ismail Sahib and his team, they are master of not just financial side, banking side, but also of Sharia. There are many others who are very good, either maybe more qualified in Sharia matters, like his teachers, but they have not as much understanding of the financial sector, banking system, economic system. Whereas he has got best of both. He is really at a very high standard in both. You would be hard pushed to find someone of that level in both. If they're very good, financially, like, they know they're the bankers or whoever they are, they might not have enough understanding of Sharia, a very basic, fractured understanding. If they're the top mufti, like the teacher of Mufti Taqi Ismail Sahib who passed away, and all those giants, but they haven't done enough of their banking system studies, like thoroughly. They have not grounded themselves into it. They've read the book. Obviously, they've got a lot of clue, and there are some modern students who are doing it under his, supervision. So that is why I would suggest people to, if you're not comfortable with his fatwa, don't take it, but stay quiet. Don't use any word against him, even if you don't want to use anything for him. Fine, you can be neutral. You don't have to have opinion. Because he and his team and the likes of him and many scholars like this, it's not just him. It's actually quite a lot of scholars support that. It is, although there are many who oppose it as well. So but as I said, leave it to the masters. For example, I totally trust his view on Islamic mortgage. People, if they have to have mortgage, then they can go for Islamic mortgage. I don't mind that personally. I wouldn't take it. I haven't taken it. I live in a rented accommodation, just to be on safe side. But that's a different matter. You can still opt for that. It's not a must that you have to have a house. In fact, I'm quite anti-house these days, especially when you see the children fighting over it, killing each other, metaphorically, going to the banks, 50-50, boy and girl. You hardly ever have more than 2 or 3 children these days. So they divide among 3. The boy deserves more share than the girl, Islamically. But no, after you die, they would just have half and half. So obviously the boy is not going to see the girl ever again. So you have taken my right, fighting over that. This is what happens when you have your war against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't do that. So having a house doesn't help. Yes, if you're rich enough and you, in halal ways, you can have 3 children, 3 houses, get them all one. That is fine. Otherwise, they would sell after you've done it, and they would just, consume it before they even find out what's happening. But interest-based transaction, big no. No matter, even if you find that maybe in future you find many people, many ulama, many so-called self-made ulama, self-declared or scholars of the world, they would say it's all permissible. Even then, don't believe it. If you want people to hear it, I stuck in this. Jazakallah. थोड़ा कुछ समझ में आया, कुछ बात हल्की फुल्की कुछ दिमाग में लगी या सन्नाटा ही चल रहा?
एक बात पूछनी थी।
तो बात तो समझ में आई कि नहीं आई? समझ कुछ बात पता, रूल्स कुछ समझ में आए थे?
रूल के बारे में
दिल मेरा ये चाह रहा था कि मैं इसको जरा तफसीली, ताकि मेरा भी रिवीजन हो जाए, मदरसे में पढ़े हुए पुरानी बात नहीं। तो पता नहीं कितना अंदाजा, अगर इस पे कुछ आइडिया हुआ तो आगे जो उनकी जो आएगी कॉन्सेप्ट, उसमें जरा एक डिटेल और थोड़ा सा देख लेंगे, मॉडल उसका तो जरा बताना अच्छा होगा। और नहीं तो वरना इसी किताब को साइड में करके